Today is Mother's Day. That also means it's the #1 day of phone calls being made in the United States, maybe throughout the world, I don't know. But it is the time that we reflect about the mothering that we got and the mothering that we gave, and also, much to the consternation of some of our children, the mothering we're still giving, because you never outgrow it. Today is the day to honor, if nothing else, that your mother brought you to the planet. She was the bus that brought you here and dropped you off at this adventure that we're having called life. You couldn't have actually gotten here without her. She was the first 9 months of your life loving you. It's a mixed day for a lot of people, though. For those who are visitors, I want you to know I'm a psychotherapist. And all week long, I've been dealing with mother issues, wanting to resolve mother issues, hating my mother, loving my mother, missing my mother. It certainly brings up a lot for people Mother's Day. Like your mom might not be here on the planet anymore, and you miss her. My mom is still here on the planet, but she's 85 and losing her memory and going into dementia. So I miss her, even though that she's here. Or you might have had a mom who had you at 15 years old and wished that she didn't, and never really bonded and wasn't a good mother at all, but she still brought you here. She brought you to this planet. Or you might be happy today because you get to spend it with your kids or your grandkids. Or you might be unhappy today because you don't get to spend it with your kids and grandkids because they live so far away, like in London or something like that, and we're missing them. It just brings up a lot. Or if you wanted to have kids and you were not able to this time around on the planet, that brings up a lot too. It's a bittersweet holiday, I'm afraid. But it is the day that we set aside every year to honor the mothering we got, whether or not we were birthed by that person or the mothering we got from someone else. Because it could have been from a neighbor, could have been from a teacher, could have been from a coach. It could have been a male who mothered you. It could have been a transgendered person that mothered you. We all have that ability to mother, to give with our heart. So when I want to ask what it is that I'm talking about when I'm saying mothering, I'm talking about the experience of having a piece of your heart walk around outside of yourself all the time. And you want to keep it safe. And you want it to not do anything that's going to jeopardize their life at all. For example, one of my boys, not too long ago, bought a motorcycle. The mom in me was like, oh no, I would never choose that for you. But he gets to choose, and the mom in me says, okay, I'm going to support you. And that realization in mothering that I can't really keep my boys safe. They've got to get that inside of themselves. So I don't know for you when that mothering happened, whether you had your own child or you adopted one that I'm going to take care of and love. But it started for me one fine day when I was out running with my running partner, and I got struck with fatigue, a fatigue that I did not know existed. I was so instantly tired. Now, my running partner thought I was making it up and exaggerating, and I said, no, this is something different. I don't even know how to describe it. She had never been pregnant. I had never been pregnant. We did not know what was going on. We did not recognize it. But now I know. It was God. It was the universe. It was the great mystery of life. It was science itself giving me a preview of what was coming. Fatigue. And more fatigue. And more fatigue. Because that's really how motherhood is in the beginning. Because this child wants your time. And in the beginning, they want all of your time. All of your time and all of your energy. And because your heart is so filled with love, you want to give it to them every single minute of the day. I think the Japanese are right. They say that every baby that comes to you is a little Buddha to teach you how to love. And they do teach you how to love beyond what you think you're capable of doing. But for my husband and I, The experience of parenthood was strange from the very beginning. When we were leaving the hospital, I thought to myself, is this legal? We're going to be able to just take this baby with us? Don't they know who we are? We are novices. We do not know what we are doing. And they're going to give us a baby? You're kidding. I said to the nurse, aren't you coming with me? And she said, no, you'll catch on. Which we did catch on. It took us some time to catch on. And it might have taken your mom some time to catch on as well. My point is, as moms, we make lots of mistakes trying to figure out how to be a good mom. And what I've noticed as a therapist is people tend to beat themselves up for all those mistakes that they made. So I'm here to declare on Mother's Day, it's time to let go of that. It's time to say, I'm giving myself a break. Yes, I made lots of mistakes. I'm sorry, boys. But moms are flawed human beings first and foremost on the planet. So we get a lot of things wrong, but we get a lot of things right as well. We do things as moms, as grandmoms, as aunts, as teachers, as coaches, for these children that come into our lives and snag our heart that we wouldn't do otherwise. For example, don't put that trash on the floor, hand it to me. No, give it to me. You take the trash, you put it in your purse. Okay. Or this one, you give them a little napkin, just spit it in here. Spit it here. Just spit in my hand. It's okay. Spit it out. Put it in my purse. We have the purse. We have the money in the purse. We have the yes and no in the purse if you're going to get that or not going to get that. If we're going to go to McDonald's on the way home or not, we've got it. And as mothers, grandmothers, neighbors next door, mothers here, mothering children here, we also show up for all the basketball games, for the dance recitals, for the swim meets, for the plays. We show up. You name it. We also dole out the punishments and the chores. And we notice when you need a hug, and we notice when you need a word of encouragement. We notice when your fly is open too, and we will tell you. We notice when you haven't brushed your teeth because your toothbrush is still dry, and you haven't combed your hair. We play multiple roles. We're the counselor, we're the nurse, we're the police officer, we're the taxi cab driver, we're the educator, the referee, the peacemaker, the nutritionalist, the spiritual advisor, and the financial investor. And we spend painstaking years trying to teach values. Be honest, be kind, tell the truth. You won't get in trouble if you tell the truth, but if I find out you're lying, We teach them, be true to yourself, live in integrity, say no to people that are unkind to you, stand up for yourself. Don't let fear stop you. You can do this. You're amazing. Parenting also gives us an opportunity, as comedian Brian Regan points out, for us to say sentences that we normally would not construct. For example, saying to our kids, your shoes are on the wrong feet, honey. Take them off and put them on the other feet. And they look at you, where are my other feet? Oh. Or I remember saying to one of my children, honey, pick up your glass of milk with your hands. Don't try to just do it with your mouth. And one time I was driving my son to a concert. He came out fully dressed in his concert black tuxedo, running to the car. I'm in the car. We're late. Come on, come on. He gets in the car and I said, oh, you're going to need some shoes. He said, oh yeah, ran back in, got his shoes, got back in. So that was something I did well. I showed up with a kid fully dressed with shoes. So we do a lot of things right, and we mess up a lot of things too. Today's the day to stop beating yourself up, saying, okay, I'm doing pretty well in this ever-changing, quick pace with parenting that we go through. The most important part, the only part that's important really, is that the love comes through. And I think how we get that love to come through is to actually see the child. Step into their world, their crazy world, whatever it is, step into it and see it from their point of view. Because they need to be seen. Kids are constantly saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. I can stand on one foot. I can hop on one foot. I can hop in circles on one foot. I am amazing. Look at me. Look at my picture that I drew of my superhero. Look at how I braided my hair all by myself. Look at my bug garden. Look at my book that I just finished. It is this thick. Look at me, look at me, look at me. My youngest used to stop us at dinner every night and say, okay, it's time to talk about me. Because seeing our children actually helps them be who they are. Seeing and encouraging them in whatever crazy thing they want to do helps them develop that sense of self, who they are. So, I want to tell you the story that Carla Murr tells about seeing the child. A successful beauty product company asked the people in a large city to send pictures along with brief letters about the most beautiful woman they knew. Within a few weeks, thousands of letters were delivered to the company. One letter in particular caught the attention of the employees, and soon it was handed to the company president. The letter was written by a young boy who was obviously from a broken home, living in a run-down neighborhood. With spelling corrections, an excerpt from the letter read, "A beautiful woman lives down the street from me. I visit her every day. She makes me feel like I'm the most important kid in the world. We play checkers and she listens to my problems. She understands me, and when I leave, she yells at the door, 'I'm proud of you.' The picture shows that she is the most beautiful woman. I hope I have a wife as pretty as her someday." Intrigued by the letter, the president asked to see the woman's picture. His secretary handed him a photograph of a smiling, toothless woman, well advanced in years, sitting in a wheelchair. Sparse gray hair was pulled back in a bun, and wrinkles that formed deep furrows on her face were somehow diminished by the twinkle in her eye. The president said, "Oh, we can't use this woman. She would show the world that our products really aren't necessary to be beautiful." You are exactly what the children in your life need. Exactly who you are, beautiful, being able to see them. But I have to ask, who saw you? Was it your mom? Was it your grandma? Was it a teacher, a neighbor, an aunt, a principal, a coach? Who saw you hopping on one foot? Who saw you putting purple markers on your fingernails? Who saw you wearing 3 shirts instead of 1 because you were fashionable? Who was the person who saw that you needed something desperately, whether it was a bike or a toothbrush or a bunch of wire for soldering or a microscope or a book? Who saw you? For right now, I ask you to close your eyes, take in a deep breath, and visualize that person. And I just want you to say thank you to them. Thank you for he or she who mothered you. Because I think that's what mothering is, seeing with the heart. So for mothers everywhere, male and female mothers, thank you for the mothering. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for seeing all the things that I wanted to share with you. I say thank you. And blessed be. And amen. Because our self-definition comes a lot from people seeing us, being able to see how precious we are. But there's a twist to this story. There's an ironic twist about mothering. Because when you are in the process of seeing your children, you are invisible. I don't know if you've ever had that experience before. People that have young children certainly do. That 3-month-old really doesn't care what your needs are. That 3-year-old is kind of oblivious that you have any needs at all. And what about that 13-year-old? I mean, please, could you walk behind me and act like you're not related to me? That would be perfect. So it's somehow a thankless job, and yet we keep doing it. But sometimes we don't get the recognition that we deserve. And that might be happening today to you on Mother's Day. It's a paradox. You joyfully give more than you think is possible, and nobody really notices. I remember when I was a carpool driver for many years with 3 little boys in the back seat, and they chatted it up. They would talk about their teachers, they would talk about class, they would talk about the girls in the class, they would talk about their plans and their schemes and their hopes and their dreams and their Nintendo games, and they would talk and talk and talk, and I realized one moment, I am totally invisible to them. I am only the taxi cab driver. I am a non-element here. And I found that pretty amusing until junior high. And then they noticed there was a mom in the car, and they started texting each other instead. And we spent years driving in silence there. So it's not because you're not parenting well or grandparenting well. It's because kids are egocentric. It's all about me. You were, I was, children are. And that's a good thing, I think, because kids have a way to pull us right in the moment, to see what's going on right now. So if you can be present with any child that's in your sphere of, your 6-foot influence sphere, I call that mothering. I call that mothering well, showing up for them. But who sees you? How do we reconcile this dichotomy of giving and being invisible? And to me, I want to know, what is that invisible experience about? What is the growth point for us? Why do we go through that invisible anyway? I want to tell you about my mother. My mother worked tirelessly to teach me the difference between right and wrong. When I stole a little piece of candy, we had to go back to the store and get the manager and return it and say, I'm sorry. That shaming experience taught me not to steal anymore. She taught me ethics. She taught me telling the truth. She taught me, say the truth even when it's your fault, honey. Just own it. She taught me love. She taught me integrity. She taught me empathy. And I never really noticed. It was only as an adult, maybe when I was about 40 years old, when I had my own kids, that I started to realize how much she had given to me. And I realized, oh my gosh, she must have felt invisible too. And I wonder, is that a mothering universal experience? Is it developmentally? Why does it happen to us over and over again? What are we supposed to be learning from that? Because I think there's a part of us, that young part, that always wants to be seen, that wants somebody to notice us. And I think that is also part of the allure of the God story. El Roy, on your program, is one of the names of God in the Hebrew Bible. It commonly translates as the God who sees me. It was first mentioned in the book of Genesis by Hagar, the mother of Abraham's eldest son Ishmael, which I think is significant. It's in the first book of the Bible, written by one of the first mothers mentioned in the Bible. El Roy is the name Hagar uses to describe the God that sees me. Mothers were invisible thousands of years ago, evidently. It seems like it is a universal developmental experience that we have to go through in order to get to the higher lesson of love, to love beyond my needs and to love another human being. In Sam Phillips' song, God is Watching You, the lyrics go like this: when you wake up in the night, God is watching you. When you're dancing in the light, God is watching you. When you don't need to use force, God is watching you. And when you never feel remorse, God is watching you. God is watching you. God is watching you. There's something comforting about that story. It's so primitive brain for us. When I feel alone and invisible, I can at least fantasize about somebody is watching me, so I don't have to feel so alone. Is it God? Is it quantum physics? Is it energy? I don't know. But it's that something, that bigger something that we connect to, that we don't feel so alone. In fact, it's one of our UU principles that says that we are actually interconnected all the time with each other, with nature, and it's just an illusion that we're invisible and alone. So why do we go through that growth point of, I don't really count right now, I'm just the cab driver? I think it's because we have to internalize that God energy. We have to internalize that mom energy, the love energy that surrounds us in this universe. We have to get, it's not how we look to others, but it's how we are when we're by ourselves, who we are when no one is watching. We have to know in our private lives that we have to decide between right and wrong. We have to be able to make those decisions without mom telling us, without God or even Santa Claus watching us. We have to decide whether we're going to be sober or not sober. That's up to us. We have to decide if we're going to show up authentically or hide our true selves. We have to decide if we're going to walk in honesty or if we're going to lie. Mom doesn't get to decide that for us. We have to know who we are. So Mother's Day to me is not just about your mom. It's about honoring your mom. And how we honor our mom is to become the unique, amazing person that we are, each one of us. To be true to that person, to fall in love with that person, to not worry about what other people are saying, what you look like, knowing who you are and standing in your own truth. To me, that's how we honor our mothers. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. So as you go forth this week, I encourage you to fall in love with yourself, to take care of yourself, to know how precious you are, to get into the potential that your mother could see the very first day she met you. Blessed be, and amen.